G'day, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to discuss why anyone would want to sell such a beautiful bike. Is this such a practical all-road adventure bike? Whether the right thing to do with this bike is to keep it or trade it in on the new 25 Honda Transalp that's coming up, or possibly an entirely different bike. This bike's some 22,000 Ks. And it hasn't let me down yet. Once it, but I'll tell you what, there's an upcoming 24,000 K service which will cost $1,200, quoted by Honda dealer here on the Gold Coast. And I need new tyres. Change the tyres to 12,000 K, so we'll need tyres changed, which are another $600 front and back. Dunlop Trail Max or similar. So I'm going to be up for list $1,800. That's just minimum. I may need new brake pads, so I say all up 2.5, just to be pessimistic. The rego is due, so all bikes do. So I've paid that 6 months for $280. So that's another cost. So I bought this bike in July used, and so by the time I've done a 24,000 K service, not including rego or fuel, the bike will cost me about $2,700. So that's for yeah. I rechecked my kilometers, what I bought the bike with, and it's actually 3,500 Ks. I thought it was a lot more than that, but so I've actually done 19,000 Ks on the bike, and that is at 19,000 Ks it'll cost me $2,700 once I get the 24,000 K service. It's the same 21,000 Ks. It'll cost me $2,700, and that includes tyres and servicing, not fuel or rego. So it's not cheap. So anybody in my position with the 23 or 24 model Transalp looking to buy the new Transalp 25 model, which will probably be about 16.5 grand on the road, like anything, it'll drop over the coming months once the used market comes on tap or the demos start selling. But let's say 16, that's what it is. It'll be about 16.5, maybe even 16.8. And I'll probably get off at 8 first, believe it or not. That's what I've been offered on a Kawasaki Z900 25 model, my local Kawasaki deal. So shit, that's a big drop. I mean, I didn't buy this new, I paid 12.5 used, but the guy that I bought it off, he paid 16.5 plus accessor. He paid close to 19 grand, 9.5 grand, 19 grand for his bike. The accessories being the Honda, most expensive, which is Honda, usually the top box. That, and the bracket and the backrest, which that alone nearly $1,500 for the whole package, with the rack, the box, and the padded seat. He also fitted a taller screen, park busters, and bigger pillion pegs, which is great for hanging your helmet off. These cooling pegs here, so you just put your helmet from a chin curtain. These panniers I bought for $30 at a second-hand shop auction, which is not bad. I just tie them off. Just tie them off the rack. These are little tiny bicycle panniers, so got enough storage. Go for a few days. Put a tent across here. This part here, that's where the seat is. Just put a tent across there. Even a tent and sleeping bag. No worries at all. Somehow tie them on. So yeah, there it is. So I paid $2.5 to get the bike serviced, 24,000 Ks. I'll have a bike that's been serviced for the next 12. I think the next service after that's a minor service. I'll have new tyres, have rego, but over $2,000. But I'll have a bike that, to be honest, because of the high kilometres, by the time another 6 months come, I possibly could have 40,000 Ks on it. In 12 months, possibly 60,000 Ks. So it'll be a bike that will be hard to shift. It'll probably offer me $5,000 on a trade-in. So I bought a new one, and it's out of warranty in November. So that's all things to consider when you buy a bike and you're thinking of upgrading. When do you upgrade? You just keep it. This bike would probably go 100,000 Ks easy, but it's only going to last me another 2 years. So if that, so should I trade in there? Anybody in my position, you got a bike that's, you're only going to get about half a trade-in value if it's 12 months old. You might be lucky, we might offer you more, but geez, I'm not happy with the amount of money they offer for these things. I mean, at half price, I had a Versys 650, which I paid 13.5 new for, and I had to sell it to a dealer recently, a few months ago, 4 months ago, for $7.5 grand, 15,000 Ks on it. I put it on bike sales. I started at 10 grand, no takers, dropped it to 8.2 at the end, no takers, so I just stopped it. I sold it to a dealer, just wholesaler, 7.5 grand. At least I got the money. So it's a 13,500 Versys 650. It was in excellent condition, nothing wrong with it, 15,000 Ks. So it's 7.5 bed. I probably would have got 8.5 if I'd held out. Just nobody's interested in buying used with 15,000 Ks, unfortunately. I'd rather go to a dealer, pay 13.5 grand, then have to do the first service at 1,000 Ks. So which is only $300. So it's a bit of a funny game, buying and selling bikes. So I'd be up $8 grand to buy a new model. So if I went to sell it in 12 months with 20,000 Ks on, I'd get 8 again. So I'd have lost another $8 grand. So it would cost me 16. So that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, the only way it makes sense is for people who buy a bike and it's a weekend hobby. They put a couple hundred Ks, maybe 10 grand, 5 to 10,000 Ks a year. Sits in the garage. They look at it, they clean it, they tinker with it, which is fair enough. People who are working full time, they haven't got much time. They don't ride it to work, so it's not going to put many Ks on. So they possibly get 10 grand on a trade-in, maybe even 11. Or the seller privately get 11, 10,000 Ks, probably get 11 grand on the current market, maybe 12. There's a guy on bike sales, got his bike, as an example, 24, it's either 23, no, it's a 23, no, it's a 24 model. Anyways, it's still got 12 months warranty. He has got a tall touring screen, engine, sliders, and it looks like it's set up for a road bike. It's only done 6,500 Ks. It's got $3,000 of extras on it. It's got a quick shifter, and I can't remember the top of my head, but it's $3,000 worth of accessories. And from the photos, it looks pretty brand new. 6,500 Ks, 6 months rego, 12.5 he's got it. So he probably, it's up for sale. I don't know if you'll get that. Let's say he gets 12. That's just indicative of where we're at the used bike market. They want nearly 17 for a new bike right away at the dealer, but we'll offer you 8. This bike's only 18 months old, so it's like 50% devalue. So that's probably doesn't make any sense. The new Transalp has only got stiffer suspension, apparently, to make it a bit more compliant off-road. Slightly different graphics, a different headlight. So it's got this has got sort of a single headlight, which does look better when the light's on, by the way. People, not sure if they wear, but I say it doesn't look a bad light. It's not a powerful light, believe me. On the road it's absolute crap at night, over 80 K, so hopefully we might make it a bit brighter. But anyway, it's a different style light on the new Transalp. It's got a stiffer suspension. I don't think they've done any difference to alter the engine or the gearbox in any way. I'm trying to think of what else is slightly different on it. Oh yeah, the dash. The dash is possibly slightly bigger or been revised. I don't know if it looks any better than this dash. This dash is pretty good. That's the kilometres on it, 21,000. See it there. Yeah. So, is it a keeper? So on a typical day, this is up at Beachmont. This is what we call a mountain pass, and above the Gold Coast here. So you could go up the mountain pass, through the Canungra, on the back roads, mainly to Bow Desert. And go, B roads, anywhere you want from there. Boona, Rapidani, Woodenbong. You can go back up to Laidley on the back roads. You can do, but on a typical ride, Bow Desert, Rapidani, Lions Road. So that's another mountain pass, takes you near to Kyogle, and Kyogle on the back road to Yukai. And back to Tyalgum, up the Numbinbar Valley, back to Narang from a Wollumbar way, via Tyalgum. 300k ride. This will handle any road, any tar road and any reasonable dirt road. It'll handle any dirt road, but you just got to slow down. It doesn't like potholes for soft suspension. But to be honest, it's still better than a road bike to go on the dirt roads or a naked bike. It's adventure standard, except it's a soft suspension at the back. It's not the only bike that's got soft suspension. So the new bike's going to be modified, stiffer damping on the back, and they're actually going to, not sure what they meant, lessen the damping on the front to balance it. Not too sure. One thing I would mention about these bikes. I've got this top box on, and I've actually taken a fair bit out of the top box. But there's a wobble, and I've heard I've heard whispers of it on the internet. I don't know if it's something that they've covered up, like Honda, or it's just something everybody's got to live with. So I haven't got that much in that top box. So, you know, and it wobbles at 4,000 revs, 4,000 RPM. So if you go to 4,500 RPM and you drop your revs, you take your hands off handlebars and there's a very pronounced wobble. So I thought I'll put these panniers on, take the load off the top box and try and balance it out, but it hasn't made any difference, unfortunately. The dealer took the top box off and took it for a run and asked me to take it for a run, and the front wobble was almost entirely eliminated. I could tell it was still there, but it was like so, the wobble was so lessened that, so it's a top box. But hey, why is Honda selling top boxes to people? As an accessory, a Honda accessory. Then I've been a wobble at 4,000 RPM. Now I have got mixed tour tyres on. The dealer suggested maybe the tyres were a bit aggressive, which caused the wobble, but it only happens with the hands off handlebars. From time to time, we're going around a corner and I'm hitting that 4,000 RPM deceleration or acceleration of 4,000 RPM. You can sort of feel it just slightly when you got your hands on the handlebars. So I'm thinking, is it a design flaw? Or is it just this bike? There doesn't seem to be any reason. I only notice the wobble sometimes I stand up. I stand up fairly often, and so you sit down and take your hands off handlebars just to test the road surface. It's a good way to have an indication on an unfamiliar road, but how the road's behaving underneath your wheels, and that's how I started noticing the wobble. And I've never ridden a bike that's had a wobble like it, or never. I've done the same thing, took hands off handlebars to test the road conditions, and I never had a wobble, never felt wobble. Kawasaki Versatile never had it, and the Honda CR300 never had it, but I did not have this top box on them, so I know the top box is contributing to the wobble, probably 90%, 95%, but I think the wobble's still there. And what I've been, apparently the old Transalps had the same issue, so it could be a flaw of the bike, so just buyer beware. Buyer beware. I mean, I've ridden it since I've discovered the wobble after the 12,000 kilometre service. I've ridden another 12,000, I've ridden it everywhere, so no way am I saying it's dangerous. But, a bit weird. Taking your hand up handlebars at 4,000 in it. Once it's dropped to 3,400 revs, it goes away. But from 4,200, and it's a pretty heavy shake. It's a shaking of a front end. But as I said, when you take the top box off, it seems you probably wouldn't notice it if you hadn't noticed. If you hadn't gone through the whole experience, and that top box was off, and you did the same thing, took your hands off handlebars, you probably wouldn't notice it. So so I can only presume it's the top box. Or the bike has a design flaw. It's got a fault where there's a minimal wobble there, and it gets amplified by the effect gets amplified by the top box. So what else can I say? Anybody thinking of trading 2-year-old, 18-month-old bike in with a new model of the same bike, or a completely different model? You've got a bike where you're going to take a huge hit, 50% hit, 60% hit. If I get 12 for it on private, which I know I won't, That's still a $4,500 loss, and the guy paid 19 for this new with accessories. So man, that's a huge hit. I think it really reinforces that you take your time to buy a bike and make sure it's a bike you're going to keep for at least 5 years, because I'll probably get $5,000 for this in 5 years even because of inflation. And you still have to buy another bike. Yeah, so putting high kilometres on a bike, you're getting used to it, and that's what bikes are for, but it's hard to sell. I mean, I'm no different. If you go on bike sales or Facebook or whatever, I go down to a dealer and you've got a Honda Transalp with 5,000 Ks, it looks in good nick. Or you've got a Honda Transalp with 20,000 Ks, it looks good nick. For the same price, which one are you going to buy? So I can understand dealers offering a lot less for a trade, but I think for a 750, 20,000 Ks is nothing. I mean, this bike, it's virtually rides like brand new. When I first bought it with 3,500 Ks on it, it was costing nothing. I mean, there's no rattles, there's no screws are falling off the bike, everything's tight. So really, person that buys this at 24,000 Ks, they've had the major service done. They know it's been serviced. The only thing that's out of warranty. It'll be out of warranty in November, so if you're buying a bike for no warranty. And people, yeah, it's a Honda, nothing should go wrong, but things do go wrong with any bike. They can go wrong with any model bike. So it is a quandary. Take at least, well, I paid 12.5, so let's look at it that way. I bought it used for 12.5. If I could get 8 for it on a trade, I've lost $4,500. I was thinking of even just selling it private, try to get 9.5 for it, and buy the same model, 23, 24 model, but with heaps less Ks and some more extras on it, which I'll take these extras off this bike and put them on the bike with extras, but not the same extras. Let's sell the stock, just put the stock seat back on, which I have. I have a low seat on this bike, and put the small screen back on, the standard stock screen, take the top box off, take the bark busters off, and sell the bike for $8,000 private, say $8-9 private, and put them on the next bike that I buy with 5,000, 6,000 Ks with a few extras on it. And that makes sort of sense. So you're paying, because I only have to pay $2,000 for the major service and the registration. That means I would have, in reality, only paying an extra $1,500 or something for a bike, still a year's warranty or more, and low Ks. And like this bike, it's on bike sales for 12.5. He's got $3,000 of extra quick shifter, engine protection, sump guard, and yeah, so I buy his for 12.5. So mine for 8.5, say, so $4,000 down. But I've ordered, I don't know if it's got 6 months rego on, but minor service is not due for another 6,000 Ks. So I saved 2,000 there, so it's cost me $2,000 for that bike, and I put all these extras on the bike. And that's another way people can do it. Just take your extras off when you sell the bike and put them back on the new model when you buy it. Save a fortune, absolute fortune. It's pretty hard to understand people spend $6,000, up to $3,000 to $6,000 on extras. I mean, you get off the deal off. They don't even consider the extras. So you're better off taking all the extras off. Well, that's what they tell you. Take all the extras off and take it to the dealer. And if you're going to buy the same model bike, put them on your new bike. If not, just sell them. You get something from them. Yeah. So that sort of sums up my thoughts. Rambling a bit, but it's not an easy solution if you haven't got bags full of money and the economy the way it is. Now this is my primary form. I've got a van at home, but I don't use it. I just ride a bike. So when it's the only vehicle, but I've worked it out. It's costing me $110 a week to own this bike. And that's not including fuel or rego. That's not including fuel. So service and tyres, rego, $110 a week. So that's what it costs. Now my next service won't be $1,200. It'll be a minor service, it'll be about $400. But the tyres need replacing every 8 to 12,000 k's. Simple as that. $600. Your regos due every 6 to 12 months, and service and costs. So if you take into account depreciation, it's $4,000 for my use. So I'm glad I didn't buy it used, because I would have got exactly the same offer, $8,000. So if you bought this bike at $16,000 and they offer you 8 on the trade, let's say you even get 9. If you've got reasonable, high Ks on it, the bike has cost you in 12 months, probably with everything I've just said on top of a depreciation, probably $250 a week, $270 a week. Oh well, I'll leave you with those thoughts on this beautiful day. Alright, thanks for watching. Give a thumbs up if you've getting anything out of a review. Leave a comment if you and I'll reply to. Okay, thank you.